Alright, good morning. Today I feel like a veggie tale because boy do I have a show for you. Um, Keep in mind as I'm trying to make this a more regular thing, I post on TikTok a little bit more than YouTube and stuff because let's face it, people's attention spans are getting shorter and people are just not craving long form content like they were. So I try to make my videos um, 30 minutes or less on each subject. So this one may be cut down into individual subjects within that video, and so just keep in mind, I will look the same. But I will be talking about something that has something completely unrelated with whatever the previous video is, and I'll denote that and all that fun stuff. So, couple of housekeeping things. Really appreciate the kind comment I got from a subscriber on the video about my teeth. Thank you so much. It means a lot, and I'm wishing you the best with your situation as well. I know it can be really hard, and it sucks, and so just that is what I think is so awesome about just talking about everybody's kind of insecurities and stuff, because no matter what you look like, if you got good ideas and good intentions, you should make a platform for yourself and speak up, because there are some really concerning things that we'll be talking about here just shortly as I get through the things that I've been writing. And keep in mind, I keep tabs on several things that I write about, just kind of in a notebook. And when I find my time to record, sometimes these thoughts may be a little bit delayed on current information, but I will update that with current information as well. Another thing I'd like to address is a comment I got on one of my TikToks, why would I be talking about the East Palestine derailment if I live where I live? And just to let you know, I actually live kind of on the Ohio River. It's called the city that I live in is often referred to as a river city. There are boat ports here where people unload goods and whatnot. And Willie Nelson played a concert down there, a whole lot of fun. But that contaminated water does come through our part of the wood, our neck of the woods. We had high water just after that happening. By the time that our city had kind of shut off the water reservoirs, it was kind of for the 3 days, it was kind of late, I think, knowing that the actual derailment happened on the 3rd, and then all of the contaminants in the vinyl chloride were going into the water right in, and I had already shown those weird puddles that I was seeing, those reflective puddles that I was seeing on top of the water before that. So I'm just trying to really let people know that because it just things kind of being not talked about by mainstream outlets, the response to it has been severely delayed to the point where we're kind of just now reacting to something that's kind of already happened, if that makes sense. But as far as that goes, thankfully I can report I haven't smelled any weird stuff in the water. We've had a lot of rain. Like I said, we've had a lot of flooding, which isn't necessarily great either with this crap in the water, because it gets into the underground water tables and stuff like that. And if this is fun fact about me, I didn't grow up with running water until I was about 8 years old. I would go to my grandparents' house to take a bath or a shower, or my mom would actually go down to my dad's mother, who passed away when I was 3. But they had a traditional well where you pulled a bucket up from the ground and poured water into a wash pan, and that's how we got the water in the first 8 years of my life I remember. And we did eventually move into a home with running water, But here's the really strange, like, it's not so strange, but they have, you can still have a well. You can still have, like, access to an underground aquifer, for your water. But you can put, like, you have to put, like, an electric, you have to drill, like, a big hole, basically, all the way down until you're getting, like, enough water out of the ground. Like, until you find a pocket of water, you have to basically drill a hole. And they're really, like, all over the place. In Kentucky, and my mom, like, lives out in the middle of nowhere, but what this hole is basically a big funnel for a water pump to get down into that aquifer, and it will pull all of the rainwater out with this electric pump, and you can use it for your water. Now, the cool thing about this is it's filtered through the actual, like, rock layers, so it's really, like, it tastes good when it's clean. It's typically, like, cleaner than, like, commercial outlets, and you don't have to pay for your running water, but there are negatives to it. Like, you can actually run out of water, and it can damage the electric pump if it, like, runs too long and all that stuff. And being the masterful engineer, God rest his soul, my father was, you can actually switch, like, cause your breaker to kick if it's pulling too much power to pull the water out of the ground. So those are some of the issues with it. But we finally got running water when I was about 8 years old. And then we had this really horrible event where, like, 3 trees smashed through the house, and we had to rebuild our house. And the only thing that appeared in the local newspaper, and I will try to find it for you guys. My mom has it. My mom has it at her house. I will try to find this for you guys. But the only thing that they reported in the newspaper was trees fall on gas grill. It said nothing about the family inside, and nothing about the fact that their house was absolutely demolished. I mean, it was almost surreal, because, like, we were, like, a little mini story at the time, but it was just trees fall on gas grill. And my mom saved the paper, and I just remember my mom and dad looking at that paper and like being like, "Hey, Misty, we're in the paper." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "We're not in the paper. That's just and, like, the scary thing was, like, yes, that did happen, but, like, I remember, like, earlier that day, it was, like, summer, and my dad was gonna, like, grill on the new propane grill, so he went to go fill up his tank of propane, and, like, somehow these 3 huge trees that hit our house, like, missed this tank by inches and did not cause an explosion. Like, it was definitely, like, gosh, that was, like, my first super trauma of my life. Like, if there was a quantum immortality moment where I died and, like, the universe switched, like, that was it, because me and my mom were standing, like, right in front of the storm door, or, like, the screen door, watching the storm before the trees fell, and my dad told us, he's like, "You guys should move, you know, something bad could happen." And then, like, me and my mom walked over to the kitchen counter because the wind was getting really bad, and like, the ground was soft from, like, aggressive rain. And what happened was these 3, I mean, huge oak trees, like, I'm talking about, I want you to imagine taking your arms and then just not even being able to get around these trees. They were so big, and they fell directly right where me and my mom were standing, over our kitchen, and, like, through the roof, and, like, the front door where me and my mom were standing. They never found it. It was pushed that far into the earth beneath it. And to think, like, I was standing there, like, that's pretty horrible. I do remember, like, when the house got hit, this, like, all of the sheetrock just started breaking, and, like, all this dust like fell over our eyes, and it was like an explosion went off. Like it was definitely not cool. But enough about that. I don't even know where that tangent came from. I don't even know where that tangent came from. But that's a fun story for everybody. But I want to talk about something that I'm really actually concerned about. I feel like this is another mark on those steps of fascism that people always talk about, but you gotta hear me out. Now keep in mind, any opinions I say are my own. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I am just kind of talking about how I see current events, and there is another kind of layer to this I want to add is I do have my bachelor's in marketing and an associate's in applied business. I've always kind of considered myself like a media literacy sort of specialist. I can always tell what kind of message is trying to be sent to us as consumers. We live in a capitalist society. That's how we are primarily viewed. And in a lot of ways, business school really disillusioned me with capitalism. And I have started to kind of just want to strike out on my own, try to really improve what I consider to be this new type of people sharing information online, which is a kind of rogue kind of journalism. I can't tell you how much more informed I feel than the people around me, because I'm constantly on TikTok and YouTube and platforms that are talking about things. Traditional news outlets here, I'm not gonna name names or channels, but traditional news outlets around here do heavily favor a certain outlook because they're owned by a larger conglomerate that is, run by billionaires and special interest groups and all that cool stuff. So, taking that into account, we are going to talk about Section 230 today. So I'm going to try to put this in like super simple terms and explain like what this could mean if they rule in a bad way. So Section 230 doesn't. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad this isn't Section 350. Section 230. This was basically a law saying that you can't be sued for defamatory information in the materials you distribute as like a website. Protections for distributors. Basically, like if you host a website and somebody says Bill Gates is a poop-throwing monkey eater, he can't be like, oh, I'm going to sue that person for hosting that message. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it. Now, keep in mind, as a part of my education, I've only had a little tiny bit of law, although I have, like, looked into it more. First of all, the thing I hate about law, that's another thing I really hate about law, is like there's a lot of like it feels like you're speaking a foreign language, and almost on purpose, that way you can't understand like what's going on. So I try to like make things as super simple as possible for people to understand, because I feel like not a lot of people understand what this ruling convened on Section 230. So Prodigy was doing like something. There's a company named Prodigy and a company named CompuServe, and they both hosted online forums. In these online forums, CompuServe and Prodigy kind of did like good faith moderation. That's what the company Prodigy was doing. They were unaware of libel or defamatory material, and they couldn't be held accountable under this ruling of Section 230. So it's just like I said, if there was something that was defamatory or libelous against a person, they couldn't be held accountable if they didn't moderate that comment in some way. Moderation protects companies from being sued from lack of or choosing not to moderate content. So basically, this kind of keeps the internet the way it is. I know that moderation on YouTube and other forums, I will show you some of my Facebook ads here in a minute, they are severely right-leaning right now because that's the, it's kind of the controlling power at the moment. And the creepiest thing is it's heavily trying to influence you. It is heavily trying to get you to maybe act differently in a way that you normally wouldn't, or look at other content that you probably normally wouldn't, and it's a little weird. But keeping that in mind, so if they repeal Section 230, companies would no longer be protected if they decide to moderate websites. Like if somebody says, if somebody takes a message down that they don't agree with, they can be sued for, not wanting to carry that. Like it's just not like the greatest thing right now. And the wildest part of the whole thing is like, the Supreme Court's like, well, we don't know if we know enough about the internet to make a decision. Well, that's where we're going to get into censorship again. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about censorship so much because censorship is the primary control mechanism in most media that shapes how what a society deems acceptable. Think about, as a child, what you saw on TV and what you wanted to emulate and what was appropriate for you at that time. Think about what kinds of things are culturally appropriate for you in your neck of the woods when it comes to television programming. There's a very famous episode of Family Guy called Partial Terms of Endearment that is absolutely not allowed to air in the United States. And I will let you look that episode up to determine why. I have watched it. It's one of those oddly preachy ones, but I appreciate Seth MacFarlane tackling the topic in his unique way. So, we are going to kind of get into my notes from the past few days, and actually, I think I'm going to make the first cut here because this is about 20 minutes long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you join me in the next one. And as always, like, share, subscribe. Please, 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 for the love of all that is holy, just put your faith in me that I can not only bring you interesting stories, but bring you some perspective on what's going on and how to interpret the things that you see and the messages that you see and what's going on around you, because it's very important that you understand these things. And I'm not trying to scare anybody by any means. I'm trying to give people the tools that we need to combat these attitudes, these harmful attitudes and things. So, thank you so much for watching if you did. And please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok if you want some shorts. I'm going to try to keep uploading my shorts here. And I'll see you in the next one.